Good morning! Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Mayong buntag kaninyong tanan. I'm former Press Secretary Mike Toledo from the administration of Joseph Era Estrada.
Good morning. I'm former spokesperson Margaux Salcedo, also from President Joseph Estrada's administration. And we are
the Spokes. And from the palace halls then to our group chats now.
We'll be giving you perspectives from an insider's position standing behind the podium.
And the headline this weekend, on Noted by the Spokes, the camp of former House Speaker Martin Romualdez demanded public retraction and apology from the Bureau of Immigration. It seems that there were some statements that were given by the Bureau of Immigration which allegedly said, last July 21, if I'm not mistaken, that there was an alleged plan or plot of the former speaker to leave the country.
Pero mariing pinabulaan na naman po ito ng kampo ni former Speaker of the House, Martin Romualdez, saying he has no intention of leaving the country. He's here to stay. He has always been cooperative with authorities with respect to investigations. But you know, this portion on House Speaker Martin Romualdez, of course, today is the State of the Nation address.
Correct, yes.
And inaabangan, meron daw malaking balita today about catching some big fish. And malaki po yung haka-haka na baka daw i-announce itong maybe how they're moving forward with the investigations.
That's true.
With Speaker Martin.
Yes.
Of course, you saw that there was a supplemental complaint that was filed just the other day. And medyo, ang daming corporations. As a corporate lawyer, ayan, you're the perfect person to be able to answer this.
What is the question?
There were 5 corporations that were mentioned. None of them really have the name of House Speaker Martin Romualdez there. It has the name of his fratmate, Attorney Paras. Ano ba yan? Ano ba yung alleged scheme na sinasabi nila in the complaint?
Well, they can always allege, allegation lang naman talaga, no? They can allege this and they can allege that. But at the end of the day, it's really a question of proving. Kagaya ng sinasabi ko pati sa ating isang programa, yung abogado, ang importante po talaga dito ay pruweba, proof. Kaya nga, ito, may akusasyon laban kay Speaker Romualdez na may tangka daw siyang to fly the coop, to leave the country. Pero sinabi nga naman ng mga abogado ni former Speaker Romualdez, kagaya ni Atty. Elaine Atienza, na the Speaker is not yet convicted. And there is no criminal case yet filed before the Sandigan Bayan. Kaya bakit naman po daw siya aalis? In fact, Margo, no, in-invoke ng mga abogado ni Speaker Romualdez yung RA 6713, which is Code of Ethical Standards of Government Officials. No? And they are asking now for the disclosure of source, verification methods, and of course, the authorizing official. So, karapatan naman, no? While may sinabing immigration, karapatan naman ni Speaker na panindigan naman na wala naman akong balak umalis. At siguro nga naman, let's give credit where credit is due. Kung talagang may balak siyang umalis, at nangyari na ito we have seen many people in the past who have been accused of crimes and they were able to disappear. Sometimes they leave out of the country or minsan nasa bansa lang sila.
Saldi ko.
Oo, kagaya ni Saldi.
I think that's the penultimate example.
That's the latest now, no? But even in the past, former senators, no? But in this case, we see...
Lacson, ang tagal niya nawala, di ba? Dinemo pa niya pagkabalik niya kung paano ba siya nagluluto habang nagtatago. Tapos yung various ways na nagtago siya.
So,
kung ano yung mga identification, kung paano niya tinago yung sarili niya.
Kaya nga. Kaya let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Sinabi naman yan. And at the point is, importante, nandito pa siya para harapin kung naman ang mga kasong isasampa.
Okay. Isa po yung sa mga inaabangan kasi sabi nila, ang dami-dami daw, yung inaabangan talaga sa SONA today. Di ba kasi last year, ang pinaka-line na naalala talaga ng mga tao is, mahiya naman kayo. So after noon, inaasahan na merong mga makukulong following the flood control scandal. Pero sinasabi nila parang puro mga, kung sino-sino daw yung mga inaaresto, hindi naman daw yung mga big fish.
Alam mo, yan talaga sa survey na ginawa. No? I think it was the latest Pulse Asia survey and the previous surveys before that. I think the number one concern ng ating mga kababayan ngayon, ang gusto nila talagang marinig dito sa darating na State of the Nation address mamayang hapon, is ano ba talaga ang nangyari dito sa flood control investigation? sino dapat ang mga haharap, no? That they should be held accountable and face justice. So that's number one. If I'm not mistaken, jobs and inflation is number two. Pero unang-unang gusto marinig ng taong bayan ay ano na ang nangyari.
Ano yung follow-up?
Follow-up nung sinabi natin Pangulo na mahiya naman kayo.
Pero I remember he also said na dapat yung DPWH gumawa ng isang buong mother list ng lahat ng mga projects. And although gumawa ng transparency portal, yung DPWH, it's hard to navigate.
Correct.
So I don't know if it's still something. Yeah, I tried looking at it.
You tried looking at it?
Yeah, but it's there.
It's there.
There's a transparency portal. But it says like number of percent of projects that are up for procurement, percent completed, percent like not yet completed. So that's a good step.
Yes, yes.
But it would, I think, benefit and help people if they're actually able to navigate it easier. And also, I think the dream is also public participation kasi, di ba?
Correct.
For them to be able to report. Yun
Correct.
yung dream dati ng yung Project DIME.
Yes.
Digital Imaging for Monitoring and Evaluation.
Maganda yun kasi unang-una makikita talaga ng tao bayan kung ano na saan na ang proyekto, ano ang papagkukulang at kung talaga may proyekto ba. Kasi ang masama nangyari noon, wala nang proyekto, tapos the year after, hihingi ng budget para i-repair ang wala namang proyekto.
Or kunyari daw meron, pero ghost pala.
Yun nga.
Or dala-dala lang ghost. Also, noted by the spokes, the Ombudsman has filed 14 counts of graft before the Sandigan Bayan against Uswag Ilonggo Party List Representative James Ang Jr. So ayan na naman. Actually, ang ombudsman natin, ang dami na. So si Marcoleta, si Senator Marcoleta, Senator Jinggoy, of course, hinahanap pa rin si, shout out to Ferdy Salvador who's in the studio this morning. Manood po kayo mamaya ng ating coverage ng SONA.
Yes. Yeah, watch it, Ferdy. And with your, as always, fashionable self.
Yes, fashionable self. Abangan po niya yung mga fashion statements sa SONA later. But going back to the ombudsman, so si spokesperson, assistant ombudsman Miko Clavano, he was also updating on also the contractors. And ito daw pong si Congressman James Ang, isa daw po siya sa mga contractor. Although, dun sa mga binasa ko, parang hindi naman 2022 to 2025 yung mga projects na hinain sa kanya, parang 2007 to 2016. So, it was prior to, of course, it's still a part of the whole corruption scheme.
Pinag-imbestigahan nga. Kasi nga, sinasabi ng ombudsman at pati na rin ng ating Pangulo na ang iniimbestigahan lang ay hindi during his administration, but even before that. Kaya nga itong pag-file ng bagong kasong ito, this is the first of the so-called contractors in Congress that is to be filed a case. No? Outside of Saldico, who is still well, they say, still in Paris, no? But hinahanap pa rin siya, no? And siguro kung talagang gusto nilang hanapin yan, at makukuha nila talaga yan. Sinabi rin ng Ombudsman that they are also confirmed the filing of 2 counts of graft and 2 counts of malversation were filed against former Congressman Arnulfo Co. And of course, including 3 of his co-accused. Kaya nakikita mo talaga na tuloy-tuloy, no, ang pagpa-file ng mga kasong to. Si Arnulfo Co ay dating congressman daw ng Sultan Kudarat. And representative siya from yun, 2007 to 2016.
16, yes.
So, hintayin na natin, no? Antabayan na natin kung sino pa.
But you know, 67 daw yung... Do you remember that statement of Senator Ping Lacson saying that 67 ang mga congressmen na contractor daw, na ginagamit lang talaga nila yung budget supposedly for their districts, but actually, they are the beneficial owners. So, kung mapapangalanan ni Pangulo yung 67 congressmen in the House later, medyo malaking balita po yan.
That will definitely steal the thunder, no? And yun talaga ang hinihintay na ating taong bayan. And these are the headlines na noted by the spokes. Now, up next, and it's hard to get him really to go public nowadays, but we have him today, is a former Secretary of National Defense. His first time also in Bilyonaryo News Channel. When the spokes return after this break, so don't go away. Stay with us. Welcome back and thanks for joining us. You're still watching The Spokes. Now, he has served during one of the most challenging periods in Philippine history, from National Security Advisor to Chief of Staff and to Secretary of National Defense.
Joining us to share his insights on governance, national security, and President Bongbong Marcos' fifth SONA, Secretary Norberto Gonzales. Welcome to the Spoke, Secretary Bert.
Good
Welcome to
morning.
the Spoke, Secretary Bert. And again, no, maraming salamat for joining us. We know how hard for you to come out in public nowadays. Now,
We have a legend with us.
definitely. Now, maybe a brief backgrounder, if you don't mind, no? Because we know that you made a shift from pre-med in Ateneo de Davao to Masters in National Security Administration. So,
Doctor
perhaps
po
why
ba?
the shift?
Doctor?
Yeah. But ayaw mo na maging doktor at naging National Defense Strategist ka na lang?
Well, hindi sa ayaw. Kaya lang, supporter ko nun yung my eldest brother.
I see.
So after pre-medicine, sabi niya hindi niya na kayang suportahan yung aking medical school. So actually, I shifted to chemistry. Pero that was the time na activism was talaga nag-i-intensify. Nasabit ako doon eh. Kaya I was supposed to be having my master's in chemistry sa UP. Wala na. Panay na wala nang pumapasok sa eskwela doon eh.
Sec Bert, tama po ba? Sumali po kayo ng Moro National Liberation Front dati?
Hindi naman. Pero sumama ako sa... nagtago kami doon sa kanilang headquarters sa Jampiras in Sabah.
As a college student?
Hindi na. Matagal-tagal na akong hindi pumapasok sa eskwela noon. No.
So at that time, you were actually part of the activist group, no?
Yeah, yung mga
Against
tinatawag na komunista na clerico-fascist.
Ah,
Yung kasi ang tawag sa mga aktivista na mga kasama yung mga simbahan, ganyan.
Clerico-fascist.
Clerico-fascist. Kami yun.
Bakit seminarista po ba kayo dati?
Ay, hindi. Hindi. Nagkataon lang na malapit ako sa mga Jesuits nung panahon na yun.
Oh, so sina Father Bernas, ganyan po?
Well, Father Bernas, yes. Most si Father Intengan.
Ay, tenga.
He
Yes.
became a provincial of the Society of Jesus also. But he started as an activist. UP ko yun eh, resident ng UP nung nagkasama kami.
Well, happy Feast of St. Ignatius, July 31.
Yes.
And then from activist to defense secretary.
Well.
Tingnan mo kung saan kayo dinadala ni Lord talaga.
Hindi nga eh. Malayo sa interest ko nung araw yan eh.
So what was your journey po?
Well, mostly really, when nagsimula ako sa pagpapalit ng constitution natin, remember, young people then were hoping that through charter change magkakaroon ng societal change.
Correct.
Di pa rin siya nag-martial law. So, nung mag-martial law, dalawang grupo ang naging aktibo na, yung mga komunista at yung mga clerico-fascist. Ang mga parang naglili sa amin, sila Father Blanco of the Society of Jesus.
Yes.
Pinalaya sa Indonesia yun eh. Dahil when he was in Indonesia, nagbuo din ng activist doon yun eh. Kaya balik sa Pilipinas.
Clerico-fascist.
Yeah, yun yung mga, kasi dati.
Mukha naman po kayong pare, Father, Bishop Norberto Gonzales.
Yung leadership kasi dati ng simbahan, if I'm not mistaken, in the 70s, they become really active. No? Parang they were saying that you cannot totally separate the church and the state, especially when it concerns yung kabuhayan ng taong bayan. And there's of course the moral aspect. No? Kaya
Catholic social action.
Kaya nagiging medyo very active ang mga pari noon. Pero at the same time, Sec Bert, you're also said to be more of a socialist really than a communist. Can you explain
Well,
that?
I'm
Ikaw
a
isang
social
sosyalista.
democrat. I'm a social democrat. Kasi nung araw, nung panahon namin kasi, merong Socialist International, merong yung Communist International, at saka may Liberal International. Yun ang mga prevailing alignments in the world.
Yes.
Eh ako sa Social Democrat, ako sumama yung Socialist International. So kasama namin noon sila Olof Palme, former Prime Minister of Sweden, si Willy Brandt, former Prime Minister of Germany.
Yes.
Sila yung namumuno noon eh. Tapos may na-elect pa akong kamag-anak, si Felipe Gonzales of Spain, naging Prime Minister. That was the time when I was, pinaalis na kami ng Malaysian sa Sabah. I had to go abroad.
Nagtago po kayo sa Sabah?
2 taon. I was with the MNLF for 2 years.
Yun na yun, kaya
medyo nalapit tayo sa MNLF for 2 years yan. Kaming dalawa ni Father in Tengan. Kaya, alam mo, nakita ko ng mga Jesuits. Kailangan pala kinakausap nila yung members nila once a year at least. Yung 2 taon ko sa jungle ng Sabah, 2 superior ng Society of Jesus ang pumunta doon para dalawin si Father in Tengan. One of them is Father Bernas.
No.
He went to our camp inside. In-escort ko siya from airport to jungle Sandakan.
From Father Bernas, how did you meet naman po si Cory Aquino?
Alam mo yung opposition doon sa martial law, kasama siyempre ang talagang malapit ako kay Ninoy Aquino, hindi kay Cory. Si Ninoy
What
yung...
was Ninoy Aquino like?
Wow.
That's another episode altogether.
Okay si Ninoy. Just before he left, I was with a MNLF already during those times. I told Ninoy, wag kang uuwi, papatayin ka talaga. But he won't listen. Sabi niya, hindi, brad ko yan, hindi ako papatayin. Baka ikulong ako. Kaya sabi niya, palakasin niyo yung mga protesta doon para ma-request nyo na paminsan-minsan naman maka-attend ako ng mga outside jail, sabi niya. Yun ang tingin niya, akala niya, jail siya. At kung iimbitahin siya sa mga forum, baka makapunta pa siya. That was his expectation.
You know, when you were appointed by Cory, I guess malaking bagay na somehow you were involved with the MNLF, the Moro National Liberation Front. Kasi because of that, you were able to sign a peace agreement at the time, and which was one of the best landmark peace agreements ever signed by the Philippine government with a secessionist movement.
Well, kasi si Norby Suari, nung napatay si Ninoy, naging popular siya ulit eh. Kasi sabi niya, kaibigan niya si Ninoy, which is true. No? Kaya yung mga governments of the Middle East nakikirelate na kay Nor. Now, nung na-elect si Cory, mga siguro week or 2, ay naka-exile ako doon sa Madrid. Sorry kung saan ako napasabit.
Not bad to be in exile, Madrid.
Na-exile ako sa Madrid eh. Ngayon, nanalo na si Cory. Siyempre, uwi na. Di ba? Wala akong pamasahe. Wala kaming pamasahe. I have about a few members of the party who were in Europe helping us in the propaganda effort there. Kaya punta ako sa Tripoli. Kasi doon yung mga kaibigan kong MNLF, manghihingi ako ng pamasahe. But there I saw an assembly of practically about 200 commanders of the MNLF. Ang pinagbibitingan nila, offensive. Kasi ina-expect nila, kung sakalit magkakaroon tayo ng negotiations with the MNLF government, gusto nila itaas yung kanilang position. They intend to mag-launch ng offensive sa several provinces of Mindanao.
Negotiate a position of strength. Yeah.
Sabi ko kay Nur, kala ko ba kaibigan mo yung si Ninoy? Why will you do this to his widow?
Yes.
Sabi ko, pag ginawa mo yan, ay nagkataon naman kasi noon, yung pagpasok ni Cory, lahat ng mga major loyalist ni Marcos, itinapon sa Mindanao. Sabi ko, alam mo bang mangyayari? Puro ang namumuno ng armed forces sa Mindanao, panay loyalist yan. Tapos mag-offensive ka. Bagsak si Cory, sabi ko. Why will you do that to his widow, kaibigan mo? Sabi ko, maganda siguro negotiate. Kaya sabi ni Nor, I'll give you 90 days. Kailangan may negotiation kami sa gobyerno. Kaya ako nasabit dito. Kasi sinabihan ako ni Nor. Ginawa ko naman, kabarkada ko naman si Butch Aquino. Kabuts. Gigirahin yung si Cory.
Yes.
Sabi ko, kailangan mag-negotiate tayo. Anong kailangan? Sabi ko, hindi, negotiate. Sabi ko, tingin ko, negotiate. So we went to see General Ramos, who was Chief of Staff at that time.
Yes.
In-interview ako hanggang madaling araw ni Ramos about MNLF, strike positions. Ako naman, nasabihan ko noon si Nur, hindi ka naman kakausapin ng gobyerno kung talaga wala kang puwersa. Nagpakita ng puwersa si Nur. I visited yung camps of the MNLF assemblies. Tapos nung pumunta ako sa one of the towns of Sulu, from Hulo to a particular town, nakalimutan kong pangalan. That's about 7 kilometers. 1 meter abreast, both sides of the road, may armed MNLF from from the boundary of city, Hulo, to that place, 7 kilometers away, puno.
Yung history po sa Mindanao, sa BARMM now, talagang gera. I remember even on time ni ERAP, di ba?
Well, yeah.
Nagkaroon din, always we were trying to
Genera yung-
find peace.
yeah.
This journey of the BARMM, do you feel that now we have achieved the peace that we were looking for when you had that agreement way back when you were in negotiating for that in Spain?
Well, yung nagawa ko dun sa abroad is mostly my party being introduced to different social democratic parties in Europe, which on that time, practically all countries of Europe are social democrats. We're social democrats. Kaya magandang relasyon ko doon. Kaya nung nanalo si Cory, nag-uunahan pa yung mga yan to recognize Cory Aquino's government. Nauna yung France, despite the fact that Spain wanted to be the first. Nag-aagawan yan eh. Kaya I remember I was in the embassy of Spain sa foreign affairs pala nila sa Madrid. I was there. Nag-uunahan sila na ma-recognize si Cory. That was right. Pero yung negotiation, pag uwi ko na yun, then I talked to General Ramos. So, in-interview nga ako whole night.
General Ramos who became President
Chief of
Fidel
Staff,
Ramos.
yes,
Apo.
Chief of Staff pa siya doon. Sabi niya, pinakita ko, sabi ko, ito yung puwersa ng MNLF. So, yung binilang niya yung 7 kilometers times 2, 1 meter abreast. So, that's, the number of MNLF.
Yeah.
Eh, ang sabi ni General Cabaldi, na siya yung Marines na nasa Hulo, sabi niya, may mga hindi pa nakita si Bert. Sabi niya, about 10,000 MNLF naka-assemble sa likod.
So, you're saying, Sec, Bert, na talagang yung puwersa nila malakas. And alam naman natin, supportado yan ng mga foreign countries na without mentioning them already.
Well, we can now mention sa
of course, yeah.
Malaysia,
okay.
Libya, where the one.
Now, maganda yung landmark peace agreement you with the MNLF. Pero nagkaroon ng MILF, di ba? At paano naman, how did that, the creation of the MILF, how did that really affect the ongoing peace process in Mindanao? Because I do recall, during the time of President Estrada, talagang sinabi ni President Estrada, no, all-out war tayo with the MILF. And I remember that because I even flew to Mindanao. I flew with the President,
Kayo ba yung may dala ng lechon?
Hindi naman. But sinabi nga niya at that time, di ba? At talagang I was there when the President met with the leaders of the armed forces, the leaders of the militaries, specifically the Army and the Marines, no? And I do recall when the President, and there was even an attempt, I believe, by the American government at that time to convince him not to proceed with this attack on the MILF. But despite that, the President was very clear and adamant and unequivocal na kailangan talagang supuin. Because ang balita nga ay yung lugar ng ino-occupy ng MILF ay they're already creating actually their own republic. They have their own Department of Justice. They had their own DILG. They even have, allegedly, their own currency. That's why they really had to attack.
Which is kind of been achieved now with the BARMM.
Oh, so, bakit nung despite that landmark agreement, ba't nagkagaroon pa rin ng ganitong pangyayari?
Ay, mahabang usapan yan. Pero at the end of the gist of it is that, ang sabi sa akin ng MNLF, yung MILF ay creation ng government, which is possibly true. Kailangan i-split yung MNLF.
Divide and conquer.
I-divide yung... Kaya marami din namang MILF commanders na former MNLF. Pero ang MILF, nung dinatna namin during Cory's time, wala yan, few dozens. At saka ang kanilang rebellion, nag-intensify, ang tawag nila, sabi natin dyan, post-86 rebellion. No? 86 na nung lumaki yan. Pinalaki talaga yan as an alternative. Kaya ang dapat sana ginawa natin noon, which I was fighting for, dapat ang unang negosasyon is between the MNLF and the MILF kasi they're claiming the same territories.
Yes.
No, same.
Correct.
Sabi ko sana, ang unang pag-usapin yung MNLF at saka MILF, pag-usap sila. No?
Yes.
How will you iaayos teritoryo nyo eh.
Pero do you feel that has been achieved now with the Bangsamoro Organic Law?
Well, ang problema today,
And magkaka-election soon.
yan ay ang medyo na-increase yung tension because of the election.
Twice na nga na-postpone yung election eh.
Alam
Yan,
mo,
sana yun
kasi,
yung achievement ni BBM.
ang problema malaki kasi, ang tunay na nakipagbakbakan ay MNLF. Ang tunay na kapaggawa ng napakaraming agreements with government ay MNLF. Yung MNLF na-strengthen yan, I will not say kung bakit kasi baka magalit sa akin yung mga involved. May interesadong gobyerno o bansa na galit na galit sila sa MNLF, gusto nilang tapatan, kaya pinalakas nila yung MILF. Kaya sa ngayon, ang nire-recognize ng gobyerno natin, MILF. Hindi naman ako maka-argue doon sa mga leader ng MILF kasi sabi nila, binigyan nyo na ng opportunity ang MNLF na 2 beses na naging gobernador ng ARM. Kami naman ngayon. Pero ako, ang tingin ko as a private person, observing these things, knowing the personalities involved, ang pinag-aawayan naman nakaw lang eh. Yun
Grabe.
Totoo naman eh. So, I'm very sorry to say this, no, because these are my
Ano
friends.
pong nakaw? Please elucidate.
Yes.
Ay, kasi noong panahon ni Norby Suhari, wala naman nangyari nung ni Norby Suhari as governor. Tapos ang dami niyang hindi accounted for. Kasi hiling ni Norby Suhari yung
Unliquidated nga.
unliquidated kasi. Paano mo ililiquidate yan? Pupunta siya sa Manila. He will occupy 1 or 2
But
floors
you
of a
know,
hotel.
sir,
etc.
that's supposed to be addressed now by the block grant. Yung Mindanao, BARMM, is specifically through the Bangsamoro Organic Law, is now receiving something called the block grant. Malaki po, mabot ng mga 60 billion. And yan po, dapat meron na silang accountability process. So hindi na po siya nakaw. May ano na po talaga siya, meron po siya
You should know
specific
this.
allocation. Opo. And hopefully that's supposed to bring the prosperity to Mindanao.
Well, yan ang masama. Kasi biglang lumaki ang pera. So ang interesado sa BARMM, hindi lang yung mga rebelde na dati. Pati mga politiko interesado na. Kaya itong election
Sek naman,
na to,
parang wala nang panalo.
I am very, very sorry to say this. No? I love the Bangsamoro. No, they saved me. They gave a second life to me. Kaya hindi ko pwedeng sabihin ang masama sana. Pero I think this is for their own good. Lumaki yung pondo, lumaki ang gustong makipaghati. There are mga chismis-chismis na parts of the budget are returned to Manila. May usapan yan eh. Alam mo, ang pinakamagandang mag-launder ng pera sa Bangsamoro.
Ba?
Yan na. I mean, I'm
Ngayon ko lang
very,
narinig
very
yun,
sorry to say this.
Ngayon ko na narinig yun. That's a revelation here in the spokes
So merong tip,
on
merong tip.
Bilyonaryo.
Hindi, ako,
Hindi na kailangan din kong traktor.
Ako, kwan lang, pag-aralan niyo yan. And it's not only during this presidency. No?
Yes.
Several presidents yan. Eh talagang ang Moro kasi mabait yan. Kapag yun ang inutos mo, susundin mo.
But you know, Segbert, every time we speak to the diplomatic corps,
Yes.
there's so many who are very much interested in the success of BARMM and to see the elections and to
Yes.
really see this place as a place of peace, as a great example of peace and succeeding prosperity following this peace.
True
So following po your experience, what can be done because the Bangsamoro Organic Law has been set in place, the elections are forthcoming. What can be done to avoid yung sinasabi niyo po na nakaw and to put in a system of accountability that will make Bangsamoro really a place that can be a model of success for the Philippines?
Leave them alone. Kasi alam mo, ang Bangsamoro, ang dami na yung mga anak nila. They have been sent to the best universities in the country, sometimes abroad pa. Ang daming educated Bangsamoro. No? Tapos, ang problema niya, siyempre, hindi pa ubos yung mga kaedad ko eh. May mga natitira pa dyan eh. Marami pa kami.
Ano ba sinasabi niyo yung mga kainin yung mga salbahe?
Hindi naman, except that na sa halip na maging example sila o models of autonomy, ay natangay ng, alam niyo naman ang nangyayari dito sa gobyerno natin. Hindi lang this government ay iba eh. Yung corruption natin, grabe na as you can see. Tangay sila dun eh. masunurin yung mga Bangsamoro, ginagaya yung mga Taga-Luzon eh. Kaya yan ang nangyayari doon ngayon. To be, alam mo,
Hindi daw sila original sa corruption.
Alam mo, talagang when it comes to your statements, this is not on, you already said something that will steal some, rather steer some controversy. No? Sinabi mo nga na kung gusto mo mag-launder ng money, idaan mo doon, no, sa Bangsamoro area.
Ako naniniwala ako may pag-asa sa Mindanao.
Ako din, really big hope.
Yeah. Pero ngunit meron ding meron ka pang isang controversial na sinabi noon, nung panahon pa ni Pinoy, na sinabi mo na, that's why siguro we want to know, what was the reason behind that controversial statement of yours na dito sa Pilipinas, while coups do not succeed in the Philippines, Pinoy should still step down at that time. What made you say that?
One of the regrets I have.
Okay.
But anyway, kasi noon, naku, awayin ako ng mga dilaw eh. But you know, hindi naman competent yung gobyerno ni Pinoy eh. You know? Hindi naman dyan competent talaga eh. Di ba? Ang lakas ng, mahirap labanan yung yellow pig propaganda, mahirap lumaban dyan. But marami kaming nakikita noon eh. Kasi Pinoy, I don't know why. Yun na kasi, admirer ako ng Aquino Cojanco family.
Yes.
I love Cory. Supporter ako talaga ni Cory. I know Pinoy when he was a teenager, etc. Pero medyo nagkausap nga kami noon ay buhay pa kasi ayokong bumanggit ng mga buhay pa. Anyway, alam ko na hindi that Pinoy could have done far, far more.
But you know, sir, we had Secretary R.C. Balisacan here, and he said that the economy at the time of Pinoy hits an average of 6.2% of GDP, which is
There was growth.
good showing.
There was growth.
Good showing. Pero sabi mo, ano foundation niya sa nanggaling?
From GMA.
Yes.
Yes. GMA.
I was there. Hindi ako
Pero
economist.
yung foundation po ni GMA, galing kanino?
Ha?
Kay ERAP.
Best friend kami ni Erap when he was in jail. Ako yung nag-supervise. Kaya medyo malapit din ako kay President Erap when he was in jail. Nung nakalabas na, hindi na kami nagkabatian.
Kay Duterte naman po, meron daw po kayong statement before na sabi nyo, a Chinese invasion is not unthinkable.
Yes, to true. Up to now. More so now.
Than before.
Than before.
Ayan, speaking of, the State of the Nation address is later, and isa po yata sa mga pag-uusapan talaga later is yung West Philippine Sea, and then syempre po yung mga nangyayari sa Coast Guard, meron pang inassault po sila. As former Defense Secretary po, ano naman po yung comment ninyo on
Very
that?
important na pag-usapan ng West Philippine Sea. Kasi alam mo, ang hiniintay na lang para magkaroon ng World War, ay magkaroon din ng conflict dito sa region natin. Pag sumabay yung region natin, World War na yan. So that's very, very difficult to assess. Kaya nga ako, as Defense Secretary, ang ini-emphasize ko talaga is, no matter how small, we have to prepare. Kahit na hindi tayo mayaman, kailangan mag-prepare tayo kasi the possibility of war is there. Kasi yung geography natin, tignan nyo na lang. Lahat ng pagsasanay with other countries, sa Pilipinas ginagawa, why with us? You know?
So do you feel na tama po yung ginagawa ngayon na merong balikatan and then merong collaboration with not just the United States anymore, but also Japan, Canada, Australia?
Well, no choice tayo dyan. But I just want to add one teeny little bit of initiative naman from us. Kasi lahat ng nangyayari na yan, titignan mo, nasaan tayo dyan? Kasali lang tayo dyan, ibasa natin ang pinag-uusapan, di ba? We have to prepare our own people. Hindi lang yung armed forces. Kasi pag nagkagera, ang tatamaan mo yan, citizens. But we have no preparations for our people. That's why I'm bold enough to say, as former defense, kailangan magkaroon tayo ng mandatory military training at least for the next 5 years. Not ROTC.
Parang
Mandatory military
i-draft ka
service.
para sa Israel.
Oh, for the next 5 years.
Parang
Kasi,
Korea, di ba yung BTS, nag-ano sila?
hindi nainggit nga ako Singapore. Pag nag-graduate yung training nila ng kanilang reserve,
Yes.
present yung mga magulang, akala mo, graduation exercises ng kolehiyo. We have to do this in our country. We have to prepare our young people.
I think there's a pending law, no? Or there was a move, but I don't know where it is now.
Nadinig ko lang, si Robin Padilla, nagsasabi lahat 18 onwards ay sa member ng ating reserve, which is a good idea. Ako naman limited lang. Kahit the next 5 years kasi will determine, sa tingin ko whether we will have a conflict in this part of the world or not. Pag nalampasan natin yan, baka. At saka yung ating advantage. Kasi ngayon, we are, hindi ko alam kung number 1 tayo, part of the biggest number of young people.
Demographically?
Demographically. Now, we have more than 20 million young people that can be integrated to our reserve.
Okay.
Yun lang naman ang asset natin. Wala naman tayong yaman na iba eh.
Secbert, very quickly lang, before we go to our hanging question and we'll take a short break, no? Sa tingin mo, ano pang dapat gawin ng ating gobyerno para palakasin ang ating pag-uusap sa China dito sa West Philippine Sea? Very briefly lang.
Yun lang. Let's train our young people.
Okay.
That will already
Prepare
send a lot of signals in the world.
Okay,
Have
thank you,
mandatory
thank you.
training.
Yeah. So, now we go to our hanging question. No? So, sa inyong pananaw, what do you think will the President positively report in his 5th SONA today? But before you answer that question, Secbert, we'll take a short break and the spokes will return. Don't go away.
The Spokes is back, still with Secretary Norberto Gonzales. Before we go to our hanging question, from live viewer Marshall P. You ran for the Senate, and even for the presidency. Any plans to run again po in 2028? Lalabanan niyo po ba? Sabi po ni Sal Panelo nung isang araw, si Robin Padilla daw po, baka siya po makalaban ninyo.
Ako naman, lumalaban ako knowing that I will not win.
Ay,
Suntok sa buwan, imagine. Wala kang pera. Ayaw mo mandaya, ayaw mo mag-deceive ng taong bayan.
So why?
Paano ka mananalo? Well, because alam mo ang kaibigan ko si Father Entengan, we were promoting a kind of politics for the country. Kaya nung tumakbo ko for president, wow, suntok sa buwan talaga yun. But I wanted to show that politics, hindi naman katulad ng nararanasan natin. Iyan naman ay pwede namang discussion of ideas and platforms and programs, which I did. And I was happy. Kasi maraming nagkagusto doon sa mga pinagsasabi ko nung ako ay presidential election. Susunod na election, ako lagi tatakbuhin ko noon. Yung pinakamataas, total, matatalo ka rin lang naman. Todo mo na, di ba? I ran for the Senate
mileage.
also. But, it's the same. So, I see that our people are open for change in our political exercise and platforms. Pero, ang politician natin ang hindi ready.
Secbert, meron naman tayong kasi maraming nanonood sa atin eh. Kaya ang dami nating questions. Hindi lang natin matanong lahat kasi we have to vet it out. In the hundreds, apparently. Now, there's another live viewer. Gili, do you think the Marcos administration should file another case at the UNCLOS to support our claim in WPS? We touched on this in one of
because
the
we had
last
Justice
episode.
Hardilesa, and then he explained that we should
Well,
file another arbitral case.
whatever is there as an opportunity to assert our right in the West Philippine Sea, we should do it.
Good.
Okay, we have another one po from live viewer Emiel Frank Kainhog. Bakit ayaw nyo isali ang mga maliliit na NPA?
NPA? Ano
Opo.
New People's Army ba yan?
He meant the New People's Army, siguro. Kasi may mga sinasabi na, di ba, according to our military, the NPA has to a large extent been disseminated now. Now, is there any truth to that? And second, yun nga, to the question being posed by the viewer, ba't hindi kasamang NPA sa usapan?
Well, alam mo, silang may problema. I have always been saying, even when I was Defense or National Security Advisor, hindi illegal ang maging komunista sa Pilipinas. In fact, it's constitutionally guaranteed.
Correct.
Ang safety mo kung komunista ka. Ang bawal yung magrebelde ka.
Correct.
So, New People's Army ang problema. Hindi yung Communist Party o yung Communist belief. No? Even now, I'm saying, why don't you engage us? Ako, hinahama ko si Joe Masison. Debate kami sa Plaza Miranda nung araw. O ano magaling, SOCDEM or communism? Laban tayo. Open.
Si Mang Lapus ba, Sokdem?
Ay, hindi.
Christian dem naman siya.
The difference is the same.
The same.
The difference is the same.
Na meron pa tayo kay Bong Sanchez. Ito, marami kasi ang nanggugulo. Pero kung walang ganon na nanggarin, nahangarin, lahat ay nakikinabang.
Well, hindi naman. Maraming nakikinabang sa lipunan natin ngayon. Yun kasi ang patakaran ng ating politika eh. You know? Yan ang pinakamalaking problema. That's why, ang tingin ko kasi sa pagbabago na para mawala yung mga ganyang chismis usapan, we have to systems change talaga, lalo ng ating political system. Very important to change that.
Talaga, sa totoo lang, partner, ako talaga, I'm just sharing my personal view on this. I've always believed that the 1987 Constitution should be amended. Not
Yes.
all, but certain provisions should be amended because it's already obsolete, and it is the most verbose piece of document ever. Now, that can you imagine a constitution that even provides for advertising? Why do you have a constitution must be so alive that it is allowed to adjust to the times. But fundamentally, all the basic and inalienable rights of people and basic tenets, and of course the vision of the people are stated there. But you have to give leeway to the Congress, to the legislature, to make adjustments. Kaya I agree with you on that, partner.
Baka pwede
Sali
nang
ako sa iyo dyan din.
baka pwede na isama sa 2028 plebiscite.
Plebiscite,
Let's see if Comelec George Garcia, Chair Comelec
Yeah,
George Garcia can
yes.
make it happen. So back po tayo to our hanging question. What do you think will the President positively report in his fifth SONA today?
Well, I don't know ha, mag-iintay tayo. Pero ako, three areas of concern ang aking tinitingnan. Of course, yung popular sa lahat, yung corruption. No?
Yes, yes.
Something
Yun ang number
has-
one sa survey.
Yeah, something has to be said. Number two is our food security. Why are we importing our food? Why can't we be self-sufficient in some of the, yung mga requirements natin sa pagkain? My God, lumaki tayo nagtatanim ng palay, tapos ngayon nag-i-import tayo ng bigas. And then it is not true. It is not true that we cannot be self-sufficient in rice. It's a matter of really realizing na ang ating pagtatanim ng palay, hindi katulad ng araw. Pwede nang ayusin yan ngayon. So sa akin, self-sufficiency. That's why kung may mga sasabihin siya tungkol sa Department of Agriculture, I will be very eager to listen to. And number three, of course, yung developments in the world. Yung mangyayaring conflict dito sa atin sa
West
Pilipinas.
Philippine Sea.
Not only West Philippine Sea, mas mostly yung Taiwan. No? Taiwan. At saka idadagdag ko sana madinig ko lang ng konti. Alam mo, nakikipag-away tayo ng todo sa West Philippine Sea. Pinapabayaan natin yung yaman natin dito sa kabila ng bansa.
Correct.
Na Philippine Sea. The Benham Rice. Alam mo, pagkalaki-laki ng teritoryo natin dyan, sinisilip na yan ng mga nagkaka-interest dyan. We are not patrolling it at all. We are not marking our boundaries there. This is our wealth.
Alam mo,
So do you feel
Pagkayaman-yaman yan.
do you feel that the defense has failed in that respect?
I cannot say
the
fail. Kaya lang, hindi, alam mo tayo mga Pilipino, hilig natin nakakonsentrate doon sa pinag-uusapan eh. But this is very important. For example, even our development and infrastructure natin, wala tayong sa West Philippines sa Pacific side eh.
Correct.
Puro dito sa China side. China yung West Philippine Sea.
maganda, Sec Bert, na minention mo yan. No? Because totoo yun. Kasi Benham Rice, unlike the West Philippine Sea, although we won the arbitral award, no? So hindi na yan disputed. Nanalo na tayo eh. Ang Benham Rice, walang talagang
Wala pa.
claim. Nobody can really claim that, although allegedly, the Chinese already sending some seismic ships there.
Yes.
And I recall correctly, the late Senator Angara mentioned to me when he was lawyering, I think for American oil companies then, that already these American oil companies found big deposits in Benham Rice. And I think there are certain moves in government to really explore that. I just hope I'm really glad na rinaise mo yan ngayon. Kaya sana marinig tayo ng ating mga kasamahan sa gobyerno na talagang tignan ito. Kasi balita nga is that the wealth in Benham Rice is really full of oil and gas deposits. Not to mention even critical minerals.
Kaya nga yung ating infrastructure, kailangan yung that side of the archipelago.
Yes.
Ginagawa na natin ng infra yan for
Yes.
now. No? Para mapakita man lang natin interesado tayo.
Eastern Seaboard ang tawag
If
natin.
the president is able to address that and like really see talagang matutukan po niya yung area na yan, do you think that could be a good legacy of PBBM?
Very
Or,
good question.
in other words, with 2 years
Yes.
left in office,
Yes.
what kind of legacy
At least blueprint
can
man
he
lang,
deliver?
kasi 2 years, wala ka na masyado magagawa dyan. No? Blueprint man lang, or intention of policy objectives should be defined by now, that we will begin to focus our development on the Eastern Seaboard, as you
Yes.
said. Alam mo, manauuna na ang mga negosyante natin ngayon. Ayan, sabi sana natin sa Pangulo, tingnan nyo kung sino-sino ang namimili ng lupa dyan. Kasi murang-mura pa.
Ngayon po, National Security Advisor, isa sa mga tinututukan is parating merong rally kung saan-saan. Yung INC, napakalaki po ng mga rally nila. In fact, today, may malaki po
May
ngayon.
plano sila doon sa Commonwealth, di ba?
Opo. Noong time po ni President Cory Aquino, ang dami-dami po niyang kudeta.
Yes.
Do you think that that's something that could still happen today or hindi naman po?
Well, malamang hindi. Malamang hindi. Kasi, during the time na medyo naging advisor na ako ng konti panahon pa ni Cory, we were talking to the armed forces as an institution. Ang sinasabi namin sa kanila, kung magkukudita kayo, make sure you win. Because a successful coup is better than a failed one. Kasi a failed coup, awa yan, gera yan. Kung successful, di sige, may bago na tayong gobyerno, di ba? Sabi ko, kung magpaplano kayo ng kudita, siguraduhin nyo lang panalo. And meron diyang pwedeng ipakita sa inyo kung gusto niyo talagang manalo. Ang formula na panalo, kapag ang gumalaw sa armed forces ay yung chain of command. Kung hindi kasali yung chain of command, kudita tawag dyan. Di ba? Kung kasali yung chain of command, revolution yan. Di ba? Yan ang, you see, nung panahon di, sorry ha, kay Ero. Gumalaw si Angie Reyes, chain of command, panalo.
Yes, I remember that vividly.
Yes, yeah. Lagi namin pinag-uusapan ni President. Erap yan, nakatulong siya. Anyway, yan.
Church and military.
Noon
Yan po
yun.
yung
No?
formula,
Pero
di ba?
alam mo ngayon, times have changed. Hindi na pwedeng church. Nasira yung church eh. Alam mo kasi, I'm not saying this in a negative way. No? Kasi, kunyari, ang daming, yung mga, pati sa elements of the Catholic Church, naiinggit sa Iglesia ni Cristo. Kasi pag sinabi na Iglesia, rally, dyan sila lahat. Sa Katoliko, sabi mo, rally, pag-usapan po natin. Ganyan sa Katoliko eh, di ba?
Pero may 2 million march.
Ay, nangyari pa.
Talagang hindi tayo naubusan ng
Okay
mga
po. We have
controversial.
one more question po dahil State of the Nation address today. How would you rate PBBM now on his two-thirds of his presidency po?
For my safety, I mean, for my, alam mo, pag may edad ka na, ayaw mo na ng away eh. Para walang away, no comment. Kung pwede.
Ayaw niyo po mag-rate?
Ayaw.
Sige, ito na lang po. Ano po yung pinaka-okay na nagawa niya at yung pinaka-pagkukulang po? Safe na po yun.
Well,
Pinakamaganda.
Yung pinakamagandang ginawa ng ating Pangulo.
Can I text it to you? Pag-iisipan ko, alam mo, tayo, we are overwhelmed actually by this contest between two families. To the point that nawawala talaga yung attention ng ating taong bayan sa fundamental questions na kailangang nire-raise. No? Kaya mahirap eh. Mahirap ngayon.
Parang friends na naman sila. Si Lenny was supporting BBM already.
It's not lady.
The other family.
The other lady.
Okay. Yung final ano nyo na lang po, final assessment nyo na lang po. Any message for the SONA today?
Well, yun, sana. There are very strategic questions that needs to be addressed by the government. Fundamental yung ating food security. Please, itigil na natin yung importation na yan. No? Kailangan, alam mo yung ginagastos natin sa importation could be used pagkasama pa yung mga experts natin. Marami tayong experts dyan eh. Yun, food security, yung Department of Agriculture. titigan mabuti ng presidente yan. Titigan niya mabuti yan. At saka sa West Philippine Sea issue, huwag tayong tumanggi niya kung ano-anong pagsasana, etc. But let us think of something that we will contribute on our own, by our own,
Merit.
yan.
Okay.
Yun yung military training. And huwag kalimutan yung West Philippine Sea. That's about it.
On that
Thank you.
note, thank you so much, Secretary Norberto Gonzales. It's been a pleasure having you this morning. We learned so much. It was like a history lesson.
Definitely.
Thank
Not to
you po.
mention a lot of quotable quotes that will be coming out in social media for sure. Now, leadership is measured by the decisions the president makes when the nation is under pressure.
And strong governance is with respect to the policies and choices made that makes a stronger Philippines tomorrow. I'm former spokesperson Margaux Salcedo.
I'm Atty. Mike Toledo. Continue tuning to Bilyonaryo News Channel for the latest in the President's Fifth SONA. I'm also the former press secretary and spokesman of Joseph Ejercito Estrada, and we are both the spokes.